Welcome, Gemini, to your Pluto retrograde 5-month deep dive forecast for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Across the 6th of May to the 16th of October, Pluto inverses through the air sign of Aquarius in its annual 5-month retrograde by 2 degrees and 27. We can talk about Pluto generally. We can talk about it being the planet of the collective and also being in Aquarius, the sign of how we connect. But what does it mean for you personally, Gemini? I'm going to share on screen the event chart, the exact moment Pluto stations retrograde, but also give you a perspective by the end of the video to help you know what's upcoming as far as your energy, work, relationships, and finances are concerned. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive, but please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. Pluto, since the spring of 2023, around 11 weeks, and then from its birthday on January the 21st to 24 to the 1st of September that year, and then from the middle of November 24 through to now, has for you been occupying the part of your chart very much to do with broadening your thinking and your experiences. Pluto in the ninth house can be about travel, can be about philosophy, it can be about contracts, it may be to do with the law in certain situations, but certainly it's been pushing you to perhaps embrace different ways of seeing and looking at life. So on the screen, there's Pluto. And it is at 5 degrees 30, just into the third dward of the sign of Aquarius, which is subruled by Aries. So that's quite a passionate energy, right through to the 23rd of June, when it inverts into the second dward, which is subruled by Pisces, more emotional. Dwards are the 2.5 degree units. We have 12 per zodiac sign, the 12th harmonic. It just provides a bit more definition. So whatever you're feeling passionate about, that Aries energy, the ninth house could be your principles, it could be your philosophies. You're coming up against people, and particularly through the retrograde, who may not necessarily agree with some of yours, or perhaps you won't with theirs. But you could also think about those belief systems too, or about relocating, moving somewhere different, perhaps even overseas. But most of all, perhaps thinking about where you can escape something that's having a powerful impact on you in a negative way. But if we look at the overall map of this event, the North Node is still very significant. It's in the 10th house. It's the most prominent player. It's obviously not a planet, but that 10th house is about your work. And there is a very strong link between the North Node and also Mercury, the planet of communication, and of course, your ruler. So, whatever you're doing behind the scenes over the next 5 months, Gemini, can actually be very important to where you actually end up in the most visible way. But Mercury, your ruler, is in quite a challenging angle to Pluto itself, a square. So, because that ninth house can be about where you may want to discuss things that you hold, your values that you hold very dear, just be aware that sometimes you may encounter people who may have a kind of Plutonian vibe in that they don't necessarily show their hand. So watch out for that opposition, which may be somewhat subtle. But in a very powerful and productive way, what you're doing behind the scenes could be very good for you financially. With the Sun, like Mercury, in the sign of Taurus, in a brilliant sextile to Jupiter. So I think if you are drawing on past experiences and knowledge, or remolding something you did in the past in a new way, the financial benefits could be manifest. So, what the ninth house position of Pluto's retrograde could be about gaining more knowledge, but maybe knowledge in a quiet, not necessarily obvious way. Now, Pluto does forge a very strong link with Neptune straight off this event. So if you're aligning with people who share your higher purpose and values, those relationships can be inspirational. But as Uranus goes forwards, gets up to around about 5 degrees, and Pluto inverts backwards, they're actually forging a very strong link as well. And obviously, being in your sign now, Uranus is pushing you to redefine your unique identity. So that could be very exciting. And then Venus in your own sign can be about money, but can be about your identity. So, how do we shake this all out and get the bones of it in a more pragmatic way? Well, essentially, I think the ninth house position of Pluto means that if you are going through a shift out of something or into something, which is quite a big difference from what you've been doing in the past, that change can feel somewhat disorientating. But you are supported in the sense of if you're going through changes, Uranus is the planet of change. So it's saying continue to be bold and know that even if we do go through changes, however uncomfortable they are, keep focusing on the golden prize. And that really comes from the North Node, which is saying listen to your instincts about where you want to end up at the end of that 5 month period. But I think your connections to others are going to be extremely important. And the connections to people that you have shared values with can get stronger, but those you don't have such strong values with can also become more marked. If there is anything to do with a contractual matter that you've been disputing, I think that can be quite a big issue over the next 5 months. I'm going to provide an overview of each of those areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next. But just to say, you can download my free Pluto Retrograde Survive and Thrive workbook. Tells you about the mythology, tells you about the astronomy, tells you about the astrology, also shares about whatever sign you have Pluto in natally or whatever house you have it in. I've listed all of those too to give you a deeper dive on working with this, and it gives you the opportunity to ask some questions as well. I've slashed the price of my personal horoscopes, Gemini. You can now get three for the price of one. The one you buy, your life roadmap report, helps you to understand the patterns that are played out in this life so far, but get a more intimate understanding of them to go forwards in a more effective way. Free, your 12 months transit forecast, and also your draconic soul karmic analysis. Please see below for more. I've been passionate about astrology since I was 14, doing it full time for 30 years. I want to share how natal astrology really can be so beneficial to as many people as possible. Now, if you've yet to watch your May monthly forecast, please see that on the screen. Your Gemini uh, or Uranus into Gemini 1 year forecast on the screen. Like to work with me directly, please check out my testimonials below. If you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope, fire to your device each morning, get that early day celestial pit stop, please see that below. So, to summarize, if you're going through anything at the moment where you have known opponents or people who don't necessarily have your best interest at heart, there may be the need to be very watchful, particularly around anything around contracts or a legal issue. If, however, you're repurposing old skills in a new way, I think your financial situation could really get boosted over the next 5 months in a way which can delight and surprise you too. Also, because Uranus is going to be forging such a strong link with Pluto for much of the rest of this year, even if you are going through a big change, it feels a little dislocating, perhaps disorientating. Have the belief that it can work out for you long term. As far as your romantic situation is concerned, if you're single, I think you could meet someone if you're traveling, attending some kind of cultural thing like salsa, language classes, learning to play a new instrument, uh, anything to do with the arts. Those are the areas when you can end up having some inspirational conversations, which could connect you to someone very powerful indeed. But the central theme of this Pluto retrograde is, I think, learning to think about things in an even deeper way than you have been doing already over the last few years. Wishing you all the best, Gemini. Thank you so much for joining me and look forward to seeing you again soon.